morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Diana Ayala from Channel 24 News with a special at-home edition where we'll be reporting all the breaking news you've been waiting to hear. As you can see, the studio is quite empty today. Anyways, let's take a look at the Oklahoma City bombing with Jason Salgado.
Thank you so much, Diana. Today we're going to be talking about the Oklahoma City bombing. The Oklahoma City bombing occurred when a truck packed with explosives was detonated on April 19, 1995 outside the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building. 62% of people in the city reported that they were personally affected by the events of that day. The death of 19 young children in the bombing were particularly traumatic.
The bombing in Oklahoma City was an attack on innocent children and defenseless citizens. It was an act of cowardice, and it was evil. The United States will not tolerate it, and I will not allow the people of this country to be intimidated by evil cowards.
Oklahoma reported higher rates of increased alcohol use, smoking more, and started smoking. Divorce rates went down and birth rates went up. On May 18, 1995, the task force submitted an estimate of 651,594,000 in total losses. This total included 426,594,000 in non-federal losses, an example, losses to buildings and property, medical services, and 225 million in federal losses. Thank you, and let's pass it on to Claudia.
Thank you, Jason, for that devastating story. Let's move on to a brighter note. At the end of 1998, we saw President Bill Clinton being charged with 2 articles of impeachment. These included obstruction of justice and lying under the oath to a federal grand jury. By a Republican majority House of Representatives, Clinton was impeached and became the second president in our history to have ever done so. This all came about when Clinton was charged with a sexual harassment lawsuit in which Monica Lewinsky, his former intern, was subpoenaed to tell of her relationship with the president. Clinton, after having heard of this, allegedly had lied about ever having had a relationship with Miss Lewinsky, and further allegedly, he asked Miss Lewinsky to file an affidavit denying any claims of ever having had a relationship with him.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false, and I need to go back to work for the American people. Thank you.
Now, I'm sure anyone after watching that is going to feel reassured. Even I feel a sense of reassurance. But it is a false sense of assurance. Watch this clip.
I did have a relationship with Miss Lewinsky that was not appropriate. In fact, it was wrong. It constituted a critical lapse in judgment and a personal failure on my part for which I am solely and completely responsible.
Take a moment to ponder that clip, and we'll get back to you after this commercial break.
Hey, where's the cream filling? Now that's the stuff. Hostess,
Thank you, James. Now moving on to April 20th news from Colorado. A high school by the name of Columbine has just experienced one of the deadliest school shootings ever. Two suspects by the name of Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris walked into the school cafeteria with two duffel bags containing a 20-pound propane bomb said to explode at 11:17 a.m. When the bomb didn't explode by approximately 11:35 a.m., Klebold and Harris had killed 12 students and a teacher and wounded more than 20 other people with the guns they had. Shortly after 12 p.m., the two teens turned their guns into themselves.
You have brought new meaning to the term school spirit. It is a triumphant spirit. It is the spirit of Columbine, and we are going to build a lasting and appropriate memorial to that spirit to help us heal and so that we never forget.
This shooting has been one of the worst tragedies to happen in any school history. National debate on gun control and school safety has begun, and the motive for the school shooting is being investigated right now. Also due to this horrific event, the government has passed several laws making it harder to buy and sell a gun. Gun shop customers must now show proof of ID and have a full background check done to them before being able to purchase one. New laws and regulations on school grounds are being worked on to this day to prevent something like this to ever happen again. Thank you.
Thank you, Gael. This Y2K crisis is an issue that has risen as we reach the year 2000. The current computer systems can't seem to recognize the last two zeros from the year 2000, and programmers have found that the clock goes back to the year 1900 instead. Take a look at what happens to the lines of code when you roll over to the year 2000 in this personal computer.
The clock rolled over to 00, but the century didn't change. And that's simply because the clock circuit is not capable of doing that.
The problem centers on banks who calculate interest rates on a daily basis, because this would mess their entire system, and banks would calculate an interest rate minus almost 100 years. There would also be issues with power plants running safety checks for water pressure and radiation levels because the wrong calculations would place health risks for who knows how long. As we spoke to Todd, we came to learn what a big deal the Y2K problem is for some people.
You know, there's people out there that I've talked to that said, there's nothing going to happen. What are you basing that on? Nobody knows. No one.
He prepared all the necessary items.
Chicken noodle. Chicken noodle. Somebody really likes chicken noodle.
This is what he said for his final words.
You know, we're average, everyday folk that, you know, are a little concerned, and we're not going to depend on somebody else.
The United States, alongside the UK, are working toward fixing the problem, but major nations like Russia and Italy are doing little to nothing about it. So could this potentially be a hoax from the government trying to hide bigger issues? It wouldn't be the first senator to deceive us, American citizens.
But Diana, you are not an American citizen.